Hello, everyone. Welcome to Quantum Catechesis. I'm Father Joe Krupp, and you are not. And today is Thursday, February something, the year of our Lord 2023. Super short introduction today because we have a super long interview. And it's a long interview because I found this guy amazing. I cannot wait for you to immerse yourself in this interview with Jeremy McLellan. Jeremy McLellan is a Catholic who does stand-up comedy, and I found him to be a thoughtful, deep, and beautiful human being. So I'm geeked out for you all to meet him. And don't forget, tomorrow we're going to do our question and answer session. I've already got some great questions here. Don't hesitate to submit some more. And without further ado, which is French for I surrender, let's listen to this awesome interview with Jeremy McLellan. God bless you guys. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Quantum Catechesis. I'm Father Joe Krupp, and you are not. And today is someday. I don't know what day this is. Does anyone know?
Friday.
But it doesn't matter. Is it Friday?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I don't know.
It's actually Thursday when they're watching this.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, so it's going to be a Thursday when they watch this. Okay, so I am coming from the past to bring you this gift. You're welcome. Today, I'm so excited about our guest. But right before we get into it, to let you know, we are on the Good News Cruise, brought to you by Ave Maria Radio and Corporate Travel. And we are on the seas between Haiti and Florida. Right. And I just think that's really cool. And if you're interested in signing up for the Good News Cruise next year, you can go to, and this is hard to remember, goodnewscruise.com. I wish they would have picked something a little easier. Yeah. So, without further ado, which is French for something, I want to introduce our guest. I kind of met him through Twitter, and I don't even know how he popped up on my feed. I just know I saw a tweet, and if I see something like original and either super offensive or super funny or both, I'll go hunt. And I loved this cat. And so I think I was one of your first followers. I'm not sure. But either way, I love him. And he put a show on for us 2 nights ago and blew it up. A marvelous stand-up comedian. A really original and neat human being. Let's give a warm welcome to Dr. Jeremy McLellan.
Thank you so much for having me. This audience.
Calm down.
Thank you. Yeah.
Sorry, bro.
Thank you for having me. This is great.
Oh, I'm so geeked out. I can't believe you said yes.
I love chatting. It's fine.
I know, but
it's not work. Yeah.
You're the freaking man.
It's not work. All the like lights and like recordings, that's work.
Yeah.
That's work. Sitting and chatting isn't work for me.
And I'm so glad they're doing it.
Yeah.
You could have me try to set it up, but basically we'd have a Polaroid and just try to record and time it to
it'd be a silent film where it cuts from you doing that to like the words that you said in script. Like handwriting.
Yeah, I got you. Well, brother, what I know you from is of course your stand-up comedy and your travels, which have taken you all over.
Yeah.
But if you don't mind, I'd like to start back at the beginning.
Okay.
So tell me about where were you born? Tell me about your family growing up, all that kind of crazy.
Born Charleston, South Carolina, and raised PCA, which is the church that Christ founded in 1972.
Oh, nice.
So that's what I would say. Finally got it right.
It took him a bit.
Get
it out there.
It's hard to nail it down, but he whittled down the doctrine to just five points. And I grew up. I have 2 older brothers. I'm the youngest, and I have parents and that like I live in Charleston. They're from Charleston. My 2 other brothers live elsewhere now. But yeah.
Is there a Charleston accent?
There is. It's like, but it's not. It's pretty much phased out. You find it in like older people, and you find it mostly used by like actors pretending they're from Charleston.
Okay.
Or it's like
Okay.
it's like slave owner accent. They're like, yeah, so that sort of thing. There's this long, but you do find like old bloods, like blue bloods in Charleston who still talk like that and everything. But people don't notice my accent as much because I've like traveled so much, and you have to sort of adopt a non-regional accent in order for people to understand you. You know. And then I did like plays and stuff like that. And you have to get rid of your accent that way. But if I talk to my parents or my family for any length of time, then I end up like slipping back into like sounding stupid. It's the opposite of a British accent.
Yeah, well,
right?
we have
a Southern accent. Yeah, you've got a lot of followers in the UK. The
and
UK,
they fake a British accent.
Yeah, we love it. We like Americans will eat it up. Like you could be an idiot.
Yeah.
And if you have a British accent, not even a good British accent, like just like a like an accent that over there people think is stupid.
Right.
But if you talk that here, people are like, oh, this guy really knows what he's talking about.
Yeah, and we should elect him.
Yeah, and the opposite is the Southern accent.
Oh, absolutely.
Where people, when they want to sound stupid as a joke, will adopt a Southern accent. And even Southerners, when they want to sound stupid, will adopt just an even more Southern accent.
They just keep going south.
Yeah, so they'll be like, you know, this sounds normal, but if I want to talk stupid, then I'll do this.
Yeah.
You know, and then like, but then they're like, but this doesn't sound stupid at all, you know.
Well, like I told you, we have a big audience in the UK, and they all fake British accents.
Sure, yeah.
It drives me nuts. I'm like,
pretend,
you need to talk like this, and that's a real, you know. And I'm not from England. I just did that.
Right.
Yeah.
It's easy.
I went home when my mom died. I went home for a month. And when I got back to my parish, I had relapsed into redneck.
Okay.
And I was shocked at how quick I relapsed into it. And parishioners were like, you okay?
Yeah.
I'm like, no, I just learned. I forgot how to read in that 4-week period.
You know, it's funny. So like my wife and I, we don't have accents, like strong accents and stuff.
Right.
But we do the thing where when we're joking, we will do a fake Southern accent.
Oh, yeah.
Even though we have real ones somewhere. We do a fake one, right? And we'll do a fake one and be like, yes, that's great, or whatever. You know, and what's funny is that like my kids are now saying yes when they're saying yes. So we've passed down a fake Southern accent to my children. We've invented a dialect.
That's what every
we invented we didn't pass down our real one.
No.
We passed down this fake like joke one that they think is just how people talk.
That is cool. And do you add syllables to Jesus?
Jesus.
Yeah, Jesus.
Jesus. So growing up, I have two brothers, Bill and Dan.
Yeah.
And they were Beal and Dan.
Yeah.
There's a Y in there. Dan, Beal. But then for me, Jeremy just got shortened to like Jeremy.
Yeah.
Two syllables.
Yep.
Right.
That would
Jeremy,
be Montrose too.
Jeremy. Right. So they got my syllable.
Back home, you'd be Jeremy.
Yeah. And
they're not trying to say Jeremy.
No.
No, that's Jeremy.
Yeah.
Jeremy.
Yeah, Jeremy. Jeremy. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's fine. If you say it fast enough, it's fine.
Oh, it totes works. So, did you go to college?
I did. I went to Covenant College, which is the PCA college.
Okay.
And it's like we say Chattanooga.
Okay.
But it's actually like you start out in Chattanooga and then you go up, and then you drive up Lookout Mountain.
Okay.
And you end up in Lookout Mountain, Georgia.
Okay.
And then that's where Covenant is. It's next to Rock City. If you've ever seen signs driving that say, see Rock City, Rock City's right next to Covenant. Anyway, so very, very small school. And here's how small it is that I'm the most famous person to graduate from Covenant College.
Rock it out.
And that's not saying that much. But I'm not the most famous person to go there because the guy who shot John Lennon, Mark David Chapman.
Oh, sure.
Went there for one semester.
And was it their fault that he shot John Lennon?
Maybe.
Okay.
Because I had a professor who did marriage counseling with him and his Asian girlfriend.
Oh, nice.
And I was like, oh,
It's
yes.
Yoko.
Okay.
Yep.
So I think there's a backstory there that people have not explored.
Yeah.
Where he's either trying to be John Lennon or the relationship didn't work out.
Yeah.
And then he's like, well, why does John Lennon get Asian? You know?
Right. Why don't I have
Right. And then
There's enough of them.
Right.
Yeah. Well, and if either you or I are killed in the next 2 weeks under weird circumstances, just know we probably figured it out.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. So after college, and is that where you met your beloved?
No.
No.
No. So my wife and I, we grew up in the same town, but she was Catholic I was Protestant. We didn't go to the same schools, but we swam against each other when we were little. In like,
Get out.
yeah,
Oh.
like so we were at the same like swim meets.
That's
but
funny.
we didn't know. And but then after college, so college I studied history, and
Nice.
since I was 15, I've worked with people with intellectual disabilities.
Okay.
And my whole concentration in college was the history of disability policy in the United States.
Okay.
And how
My
it
brother.
and how it impacted or how it reflected our understanding of the human person.
Okay.
Because our understanding of the human person traditionally was that, well, it's always been your ability to produce wealth,
Yes.
and your ability to do stuff for other people, and so that's your value as a person under liberalism, I think, and like classically, largely speaking, liberalism, not like today, but liberal.
No.
But like so. So what it used to be was your ability to be strong and your like technical know-how, strong bodies, right?
Yes.
And if you could work in a factory, you were part of a union, you could do so, whatever. But with the changing understanding of, with the change, this is a very Marxist interpretation of it, but with the change in the economy and our shift towards like post-industrial skills and stuff, the image of the valuable person was someone who you were as a body didn't matter anymore.
Yes.
And so there's been growing and growing and growing acceptance of people with physical disabilities.
Yes.
Because you no longer need a strong body in order to produce wealth, right? But there's been a growing, I think, as sentimental as we like to think we are, there's a growing hostility and unaccommodation to people with intellectual disabilities.
I agree 100%. And I have family who are special, and I'm always shocked at what's available for the physically handicapped and blessed, by the way.
Yeah.
Blessed. Like we've figured out how to build a world where a person who, say, uses a wheelchair theoretically can thrive. I say that as a person not in a wheelchair. Sure. But when it comes to our brothers and sisters who are mentally, emotionally handicapped, I think you commented on this. I can't say for certain, but when Sweden was kind of bragging on, we have eliminated Down syndrome.
Right.
And it was like, well, you killed everybody.
Yes, right.
Yeah.
And so to the extent that people with intellectual disabilities are accepted in the United States and elsewhere, they have to be cute.
Yeah.
They have to be sentimental. They have to make us feel good, and that's part of the attention economy. So there's still the thing where like someone, especially with Down syndrome. So the most accepted form of intellectual disability is Down syndrome, autism now, but it's only certain kinds of autism, right?
Yes.
A touch.
Yes.
If you have a touch of autism,
Just
then it's
enough.
great. Then it's great. You have just enough to be quirky or whatever, and then you're valuable to other people. You can make them feel good about themselves. But someone who is like alarming or disarming looking, someone who's not pleasant to look at or to be around, those people you hardly ever see, even though it's like 5-10% of the population. It's like, but that's certainly not 5-10% of the people that you interact with.
Yeah.
They are somewhere.
I've done burials, and this is not a rip on the older generation. This was, I believe, the best they had. But I've twice done a burial for a person who I knew their entire family, never knew this person existed, because when they were born, they were discovered to be special and sent away. And the family had never really seen them.
Yeah.
But, well, they're 70 and they're with the Lord now, so we have a funeral.
Yeah.
And what it breaks your heart, and I get it. Again, my pa, he was with me the first time. I'm like, okay, what just happened?
Right.
And he said, son, that's what they did. They had a special place, and you went away, and nobody saw you. Nobody, but both times, bro, and this, I'm an emotional guy.
Yeah.
The people who work there are all there at the funeral.
Yeah.
And they're all in, like they're crying and they're praying. And I know this is a stereotype, but they just shine.
Yeah.
Like you can see the joy of love given without an expectation of love back in the way most people are used to it. Does that make sense, bro? And I've seen that twice. The second time, of course, it didn't shock me. I got used to it. But that first time, I was like, this is the worst thing ever. And Dad was just like,
there is something that happens to you if you're willing to let it happen. When you work with people with intellectual disabilities, where because they're not like you have to, unless you're abusive, right? You need to adopt an attitude where you are delighted by the unexpected. Where something messy, something seemingly like a lack of order. I mean, it's not a lack of order. It's just a lack of an order that's imposed by will. Right. There's a deeper order there that just comes with like the organic attitude towards life. And you have to just it's like having a child where you just have to enter life with them in order to be friends with them. Right. And we are in our culture, we are very hostile towards any sense of obligation that we didn't freely choose. And so we did not ask for this. This is the parent who finds out their child is. We did not plan for this. We did not ask for this, and that's true. And then, you don't diminish that, but like that, a culture that cannot welcome the unexpected and feel called to that and feel like they're called to a relationship they did that they didn't calculate. Is a culture that can't welcome people with disabilities and also can't welcome God.
Well, part of our training for seminary, and I don't think I've told a lot of people this, but my second year, we would meet with counselors and we would, just to make sure at that point the church figured out what everybody else figured out about year 2000. Okay, we got a problem with some of our brothers. And one of the things, they set me down, like they called each of us in my class one at a time, and we were all like, yeah, something's going on. And when they set me down, there's the little panel of the what we call internal formation team, and they wanted to talk about my fears. And, I told them I can be a very fearful person, right? And I talked about heights, water over my head, and they're like, no. And in the end, what they helped me get to was I was terrified of people with developmental challenges. And a lot of it came back to when I was a kid, we were in a place where, like fighting and punching wasn't a big deal. That's just, I remember the rule was you can't hit him. You can't hit him back. And he would punch.
Back.
Right? And it was like, and this was family. And I just remember, you can't hit him. What the heck? And so in the end, they assigned me for 3 months to work at a home for the developmentally challenged. And it was to face my fear. And I remember driving there the first day and terrified. And I realized I've not been this scared before. I am scared of people who are developmentally challenged. And I was shocked by that. And, I know it's a cliche, but by the end I was in love and didn't want to leave. It really was something to bathe someone, to clean them, and to know there's no reward here except this is what you're supposed to do.
Right. That's what friendship is.
Yes. Okay. I'm sorry to get it. That's exactly it. And I just was so blown away. And then truly, and I know it's cliche, bro. I volunteered every chance I got. And there was one boy named Patrick, and, he had the helmet.
It'd be bad if it wasn't cliche.
Oh, yeah.
Because that would mean that it wasn't common. To the human experience. So,
that helps.
And therefore less true. So,
And, by the boy named Patrick, he wore a helmet. He was big as a house, right? And cut. And, my first week, he hit me like 4 times. And it hurt, But it was by the end, he'd pick me up and spin me, and I'm not a small dude. And he would pick me up and spin me, and he was just so happy I was there. And he would do this all the time. Like, he was just happy. I was sitting there playing his version of checkers. And I don't know what it was he won every time. But praise God. face that fear head on and let the Lord teach you, no, this is how you love, bro.
Yeah.
Because we punch God. We punch
Right.
him all the time.
Right.
And if he ever punched back, you know.
Yeah. And the interesting thing, I mean, like, so I worked since I was little with people, and so I don't remember like a moment where like I had to like enter into it,
Yeah.
But I do remember sort of the opposite thing where I had kids,
Yeah.
and that was just 4 years ago.
Yeah.
We had our first, and there's a like with your kids, you're seeing them every day getting smarter.
Yeah.
And getting better. They have behaviors, but the behaviors go away, and it's a joy to see, and it's a cool thing to see. But I feel like friendship requires you to not expect that.
Yeah.
And there's something that I think, and so I tell people when they ask me how I got into comedy, I was like, well, I worked for 15 years with people with intellectual disabilities because I learned how to be how to play, like in a rich sense, not in like in like the. Like Joseph Piper, the German philosopher on leisure, that leisure is play, which is contemplation, and where it's what you do when there's nothing else to be done.
Yes.
And you're not doing it for anything else. It's just delight.
Yep.
You're just sitting there,
Human being, not a human
right.
doing.
Yeah. And you're there, and you're not. In order to be friends with someone who's intellectually disabled, you have to sort of give up on them, right?
Yeah,
you have to give up on the idea that they're going to get better.
Yes.
And that's true of everyone, by the way.
Absolutely.
Like where you can't be like, well, I'll stay with my wife, but only if she straightens up. You have to love the person that's in front of you.
Yes.
And you desire the best for them, but like the them that you love is them. Like it's right there.
Yeah.
It's not some like in the future sort of thing.
I won't love a future version of that person.
Right.
My future version.
Yeah, right. Yeah, your future version. It's never God's. Yeah.
And my sister Lori, and I love her for 9 million reasons, but she ran the top floor of this vast restaurant. And she had this server who, if that server, call her, Sue, if Sue had 3 tables, she was a beast. Mm-hmm. Right? Like the kind where she'd get 70% tips. They would just fall in love with this sweet, sweet girl who was just on it like stink on a monkey, right? Just whatever. And Lori had to talk to her supervisor because the guy kept assigning her 4 tables, and she would melt down. 4 tables, she was a disaster. 3 tables, a goddess. And she said, finally, I had to sit her supervisor down and go, she's a 3-table girl.
Yeah, what are you doing?
Yeah, she's a 3-table girl. Well, we need to blah, blah, blah.
But if I push her, I can make her do 4. No.
Right.
Yeah.
Why? She's a 3-table
right.
girl. And everyone at those 3 tables are always going to come back because of her.
Yeah.
Food, maybe, maybe not. They're going to come back because they love that chick. You put her at 4, we lose all those customers. She's a 3-table girl. And they never assigned her 4 again. And, of course, she thrived.
Yeah.
And it's just funny. She told me that story when I was in high school, and I've never forgot it because every once in a while I'll get a little pissy about someone I'm working with, or especially Carrie with the drinking. It's so hard. It's okay.
Well, and the flip there, the flip side there is, do you treat yourself that way?
Oh yeah.
Do you just love yourself for who you think you could be?
Yeah.
And are you subjecting yourself to this anticipatory horizon, or are you actually loving who you like? What if I don't get what if I don't get in shape?
Yeah.
What if I don't get disciplined? What if in my life I never get better at getting out of bed in the morning?
Yeah.
Am I still lovable?
Yeah.
And is the core bedrock reality of who I am good?
It's so my confessor literally texted me last night. I can't believe you said that. And he just said, bro, the day you figure out you're beautiful to God now, I think you'll find that next thing.
Sure.
But and that really, it was like I keep thinking, when I learn to be this way, then I can really then I can fly.
Right.
And I don't mean, and he said, you're flying now.
Yeah. And someone who thinks that, someone who will lack a sense of humor.
Yeah.
They won't be delighted by who they are. They won't think their faults are funny or anything. And they will. I mean, and it starts very early. like the first time you laugh as a person is when I talk about this in my Word on Fire course, but the first time you laugh as a child or as a person is when your mom plays peekaboo, right?
Yeah.
And that's the first time everybody laughs is during peekaboo. And when you think about it, peekaboo is terrifying.
Yeah.
Because you're a baby, and you're the mother is the ground of existence.
Yeah.
Right? They are your entire being, and they disappear.
Yes.
Right? It's Good Friday.
Yeah.
Right? Every day for a baby, it's Good Friday, and the logos is gone.
Yes.
And just when all hope seems lost, back at it. She's there.
Scary.
She's there, and it trains you as a child to and the response to the sudden reappearance of the ground of being is laughter. It's laughter. Humor is being delighted by surprise.
Man,
right?
my brother.
And so in order to do that, you have to have, this is how you learn to have faith that despite not seeing the mother,
Yes.
that the ground of the reality is good.
Yes.
And that the objective hard stuff of the universe loves you. Right?
Man.
And so when you but if the mother is abusive, or if the child doesn't feel love, or if instead of saying peekaboo, they like wear a wolf mask or something. I'm just making that up, but like
Mine did.
something terrifying.
She was horrible. Yeah.
Then you learn, and this is what a lot of people really do believe. It's what I believe for so long, is that the basic core reality of the universe is chaos.
Yes.
And then it's your job in your life to impose your will, to impose order on chaos by your will.
Yes.
Right? And that person cannot laugh.
Yeah.
They cannot play, because it's why would you, like, you're wasting your time. It's a waste of time.
Absolutely.
To play. And it is a waste of time. Like, it is, like, I mean, mass is, like, in the most beautiful sense, is the most wasteful
Yes.
time that you can ever spend, because there's nothing more that you're doing it for. It's just delight.
Yes.
It's just delighting in God. And so that's how I connect, like, comedy and humor and like the Eucharist, all this stuff. It's like and like your own personal psychology is that, like, you when you do that, like when you learn, and you only learn it by being loved.
Yes.
Is you learn that you are good, that you are loved, and like who you are, for who you are. And you also learn that the sins that you commit are not you.
Yeah.
Right? They're I said in my show that people take sin too seriously.
Yes.
Like, and it really is true that, like, because sin is, like, we believe as Catholics that, like, human nature is good.
Yes.
And that that God created us and we are good, and therefore every fault that we have, all the sin that we have, the idols, the biases, and things like that, those are things holding us back.
Yes.
Those are like chains you have on or whatever. And so you don't have to, like, transform into a different being than you are. You just have to get rid of those things, and that's what morality is. That's what and a big part of comedy, learning to be funny, isn't like learning different techniques or whatever. It's just to stop trying to be funny. Stop thinking of the other person as, like, an object.
Yes.
Right? Stop,
Yes.
Like, we all have those friends who, like they'll meet a hot girl and they suddenly start trying to be funny.
Yes.
Instead of how they're funny with you.
Yeah.
And suddenly they've shifted into, like, this manipulative mode of, like, humor, and it's terrible.
Yes.
Right? It's never delight, it's never play.
No.
It's just this, and, like, that's the kind of humor when people have a lot of times.
Oh yeah.
Is
Yeah.
like
Somebody has to get hurt for me to laugh.
Yes.
Oh, I commented on that after your show. I was like, for an hour, and I mean this, the whole universe just stopped.
Sure.
I didn't think once about, oh crap, I got a blah blah.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, and is so and so okay? And and I wasn't thinking about me.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't thinking about anything except the moment we were in. You really
That's good.
transported us, right?
That's the goal. That's
And
great. Thank you.
in that, there was no moment where you were cruel. Right? To yourself a couple times, like laughing at
Sure,
you,
yeah, sure.
which is glorious.
Yeah.
Right? The ability to laugh at ourselves is glorious. But at no point, if someone was sitting there would you have hit a button where it was like, I'm going to make you feel like crap?
Right. And it wasn't me that I was making fun of. It was
Right.
it was my faults.
Right.
Right.
Wow. Yeah. There
So,
you
like,
go.
It was
There you
my
go.
like misunderstanding things and stuff. Like
Yeah.
but that's not like
That's not you.
that's not me, and I don't even know me. Right. Only
Yeah.
God really knows me.
Oh man.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like there is a kind of self-love that goes with self-deprecation.
There is, and I think to some extent we're moving into that magic realm of how much joy the Lord wants us to live.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that weight from the joy's not the feeling. I can't help how I feel.
Mm-hmm. Right.
It comes, it goes, it's blah blah blah. But I can wake up and say, I'm alive.
Yeah. And it doesn't mean like
Giggling all the time.
right, it doesn't. It's not a feeling, and like the fact that you feel bad things,
Yeah.
that you feel a lack of joy, for example, that feeling doesn't mean anything about you. Earlier you were talking about being scared of people with disabilities.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean anything in terms of your like moral life.
Right.
Like you're not a bad person because of that. Like, there's all sorts of things people can be afraid of, and the fact that, but what would be bad is for you to then say like, well, what does that mean? Well, therefore, because I am afraid of them, then either you're bad and beat yourself up, or therefore it is right to be afraid of them.
Yeah.
Instead of just treating your like the emotions that you have as just curiosities.
Yeah.
And but like they're not divining rods.
Yeah.
Always towards
St. John Paul II, right? He said the job, the way to be a saint is to take what you feel to the classroom of your mind,
mm-hmm.
to discipline it and educate it, and to learn to act like you wish you felt. Right? That idea of feelings, I'm not going to ignore them or despise them. I'm just going to say they're there.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's a feeling that is not appropriate to guiding my action,
Sure.
well, then I'm going to educate it.
Sure.
Right? And act like I wish I felt.
Yeah.
And who writes that stuff?
Yeah, I don't know.
Sorry. Well, a saint.
Yeah.
And somewhere between despising our feelings and treating them as the chair of Peter,
Mm-hmm.
which, by the way, that was outstanding.
Well, and our culture thinks that these feelings that we have are that's what morality is. That morality is a general way of just saying that saying something's bad is just a fancy way of saying that you don't like something, right? Yeah. It's just an expression, and so if you have an opinion about like behaviors that people have, and you're like, well, that's bad behavior, it's wrong behavior, it's beneath them.
Yeah.
Then therefore you're saying you hate them.
Yeah.
And but that's just not like the case.
No.
And so it's always funny when someone does, especially online.
Yeah.
When you want to say something's bad, you have to sort of authenticate, like as an influencer, you have to like authenticate the moral judgments you make with some sort of emotional, like testimony.
Yeah.
Like when I read this, I was trembling.
Yes.
Or like I was literally shaking when I heard this.
Dude.
And like, but that's because we have to sort of authenticate the experience with our own, like our own emotional life, and so that the audience knows. Whereas like, if someone came up and slapped my 3-year-old, I would be unbelievably furious with them.
Right. And by the way, sorry about that.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
It's okay. They deserved it. But but like that's not nearly as bad as like massacring a village.
Right.
On the other side of the world.
Yeah.
Right. But that doesn't cause
infuriate
me,
you.
But I know my moral judgment is that that's worse than this. And I know that like my emotional reaction to something is not like some like deep truth. Some deep truth about where my priorities really are,
Right.
Because all sorts of things make us upset or happy or whatever, and like that's not like, and that's fine.
Yeah. And a lot of the hypocrisy of our enslavement to the right and to the left shows in what we either pretend we are offended at or pretend we aren't, or what that whole idea of I put out a thing on now this was years ago. on Facebook about a man from China I went to seminary with that was executed, right? And I was crying when I wrote it.
Sure.
Just this beautiful dude who knew he was going home to die.
Right.
Right. And like I put that post up, and people, let's pray for him and praise God for this faithful man, and blah blah blah, and damn communism,
Right.
damn totalitarianism. And what was it? 10 years ago, we realized what they were doing to the Muslims in China.
Yeah, the Uyghur.
Yeah. And it was like, and I have such a hard time saying that word, Uyghurs.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Because that meant something different
Right, yeah,
when I
yeah,
was
yeah.
growing up,
Yeah.
and it wasn't good.
Right, yeah.
I was like, I have a brother who's Muslim, right? And I still couldn't muster the same outrage. I could be horrified intellectually, and it's interesting to hear what you're saying. I'm like, okay, that isn't crazy.
Yeah, it doesn't say anything like
Right.
very significant about you.
Right.
Right.
It just says, okay, that one emotionally grabbed me,
Yeah.
and I knew that cat.
I hearing this story
Yeah.
about this person
Yeah.
doesn't emotionally affect me that much.
Right.
Right. Like
You
if I
didn't know him.
stubbed my toe, I didn't know him. If I stubbed my toe, like that would probably more emotionally affect me than like. But like, I love you.
Oh, sure.
And I care that like you love this person.
Yeah.
But like I don't need to like suddenly get and like people who do suddenly break down just hearing about something
Yeah.
have a very unhealthy sense of boundaries like
Yeah.
psychologically. You know, just hearing that then
The
it's
guy
like,
I knew that
yeah,
you've never met,
right.
that did something, he knew what's going
who
to happen.
you could be making up. Like that's
His name was Bob.
Yeah,
I
suddenly I'm
promise
just
you.
like right.
Yeah, it was I was born in China. His name's Bob Jenkins.
Yes. Yeah.
Although I did find out, do you know this? There's a large Jewish community in China.
I didn't know
I had no idea. I had a buddy in Israel, and I made some joke about a Baptist church in Philadelphia, and I saw they had a stained glass window, and Jesus was Chinese. And I said to him, "A Chinese Jew, bro."
Yeah.
Can you imagine? He goes, "Yeah,
So on Christmas they can eat anywhere.
yeah, exactly."
Because Jews always eat
Yeah.
Chinese food on Christmas.
That's
Yeah, yeah.
fantastic.
So, but yeah, I mean, but like what you were saying about, and I'm very thankful that like the show was a success, and what you said about time stopping. You know, I did a show in Jacksonville, Florida for this Muslim community there, and the show went great. And but I wake up the next morning and I have all these texts because it was well, first of all, like the show was on a Friday. It was a few
Okay.
it was a few hours after prayer, after
Right.
after Juma, and so everyone there had been at like the Jacksonville Mosque down the street, right? And we found out the next morning that the FBI had stopped someone from committing a massacre at that mosque. It was a Filipino Catholic who had been diagnosed with pancreatic cancer or something, and like he was like nothing
go
left to
down
live for. I'm
swinging.
going to go down, whatever.
Oh,
and,
man, bro.
But the guy he was planning it with was an undercover FBI agent who was like, "Let's go buy a silencer," and then arrested him. Right?
Yeah.
And so, like, I realized that I had just the previous night performed for an audience that was like supposed to be dead.
Marked for death.
Right, that was marked for death, and but hadn't. But when we were doing it, when we were in the show, we didn't know that,
Yeah.
right? And
Wow,
so
yeah.
I mean, it messed me up for a while because it was like, okay, so now I wasn't in any danger, but my audience was, and the audience didn't know that they had been marked for death, like just before.
Yeah.
But that the show had just taken place in this bubble of time that had been given to us by the Federal Bureau of Investigation.
Who give it
But
and take
right,
it
you
away.
give it
yeah.
and take it away. But no, I mean, and so, but then you know, processing this happening, it's like, well, that's all of time.
Yeah.
That is just this gift because we've all almost died.
Yeah.
Right, and and even times we don't even know.
Yeah.
Right, like you and I are here because there was a drunk guy who decided that he didn't want to go out that night.
Yeah.
Like and drive that night a few years ago, and we don't even know that happened. Right, but we're
Right.
here, you know, and we exist in this time. And, you know, like my friend Urban, which is a weird name for a white priest to take.
Urban?
Urban.
Yeah, we
That's-
got a bunch of
that's-
popes.
Yeah, right. But that's the
Yeah.
popes. But growing up, I didn't know any popes. I just knew.
You knew Urban.
I just knew that urban was what we like the slang term that white people used to call black. It was an urban crowd.
Oh, yeah.
I just crushed at an urban room.
Safe racism.
Yeah, safe racism, you know, like a lot of urban people in this city, you know. And But he told me, he reminded me that like time is a measurement of change, and the good doesn't change, right? And so time that we spend delighting in the good does take on the quality of this pause, of this time where it's just like you can sort of touch eternity.
Yeah.
And that's what happens in contemplation, in meditate, and by meditation I mean like just like Aristotle said, the closest thing you can get to meditation or to contemplation in this life is watching a child play, right? And we know it's like the mass, right? But like for him, it's like and it's pure contemplation. There's nothing else to be done. You're just there, and that I think is I think a lot about what it means to be a friend to an audience, and because not using them for like my own ego. Like, although doing well makes me feel good, but like not like using them for my own ego or using them for money or using them because then it's like manipulation and then you're lying on stage and then you're like, you're no longer treating them as friends.
Right.
Right. You're no longer delighting in that. And then they don't get anything from you either because like part of going to a comedy show is sort of learning how to approach reality with this playfulness.
Yes.
And you sort of learned how to do it by watching someone do it.
Yeah.
And like I had some people like I in my show I have a lot of material on confession, on going to confession, stories about going to confession, and someone told me the next day that day in confession, the next day, the people in the audience were like in line for the confessional talking about my jokes.
That happened here.
And I was like, right, that's what I mean. That's what I'm referring to. Someone told me like yesterday that like in confession, and I was like, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Right? Because I've given them, in some small way, some way of processing and preparing.
Yes.
For confession.
Oh.
Right? And hopefully they had a shorter amount of time in confession, because I talk a lot about people taking too long in confession, but yeah.
Well, and that's when at Holy Family where I am now, between the two parishes, we're able to offer about 10 hours a week.
Okay.
Right?
That's a lot.
And we never have a pause.
Okay.
There's never, Carrie takes the bullet for the team.
Okay.
Right? And my thing when I got there talking to her, I said, when people come to me in confession, they're in an unbelievably vulnerable position. And so I feel constrained from saying, I'm going to need you to move this along.
Sure.
Right? If they're really in the moment.
Sure.
If they're rattling, right? And I'm a rattler, so I get it. If someone says, bro,
yeah.
Like, oh, thanks. But if it's like, holy cow. And so she kind of agreed to take the bullet. And we basically will say, well, look at the line and go, well, Father Lay and Father Joe got to leave at 10. This line will get us to 10. And so now, sorry, folks, everyone in line gets their thing heard.
Sure.
But if you come into the church, we're like, sorry, we're full.
Yeah.
In confession. Okay. So one of the crazy parts of that is you gave a way to process what can be a very vulnerable moment for people in a way where they can laugh at the reality.
Right.
And not themselves. Like, I really like how you made that distinction. No, I'm not laughing at me. I'm laughing at my faults.
Right, yeah.
I'm laughing at my silliness.
Yeah.
My self-centeredness. Because like she could give you a ton of material of people like screaming and saying horrible things because they want to go to confession, and it's like something's a little broke here that confession might not be able to help.
Right.
Right.
Oh yeah, I mean, like when I first started, I sort of imported my Calvinist understanding of sin, like to the practice of confession.
Sure.
Where then it became the job of confession to rid me of this sense that I was rotten, like deeply rotten on the inside, which confession can't do because I'm not.
Yeah.
Right. And so like going to confessor and like realizing, oh, this is scrupulosity, and where like I'm using, which like St. Thomas is like, that's a form of superstition.
Yeah.
Scrupulosity is this form of superstition where you're using confession or using the sacraments or whatever in order to make you like feel like different and feel a certain way, instead of it just being like, well, but then once like my confessor was just like, no, you need to just confess mortal sins. And like, don't use these long examinations of consciences where they're like, how much time did you spend on your tablet? and stuff, and I'm like, shut up. Like, I hate stuff like that, where it's like some like ancient like
Yeah.
well, and a lot of times it's like these self-reflective practices that are intended for religious life.
Yeah.
That then regular people just download,
Right.
and they're like, okay, well, I gotta like think
Yeah.
about like how much time did I spend in prayer today versus how much time did I spend on entertainment. And I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, but like if you say the rosary every day, it's 20 minutes.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. Mama's good.
You don't have to.
She's like,
yeah,
okay,
you
son,
don't
get
have.
outside.
Yeah, you don't have to like okay, I have to pray for 2 hours because I watched a movie or something like that. That's
Right.
the like. That's the. But like so yeah,
Pelagianism.
just right. Just restrict your understanding of sin to the mortal sins,
Sorry.
and then you realize that like it's actually pretty boring. Like
Yeah.
your sins are boring. They're not interesting. Like
People
they're not what makes you you.
Yeah, people. Oh, it's hilarious, and I get it. Oh, Father, and I don't do face to face, right? Face to face leaves way too much room for dialogue.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I don't want me a part of the equation any more than I absolutely have to be.
Yeah.
Right. This is you and the Lord. I'm a conduit, so we don't even offer face to face, right? But one of the things people, well, I'm so glad you do that because I don't want you to remember my sin. And I always use this example. I says, let's pretend I work at McDonald's, right? And I'm working the lunch shift or whatever they call it. Can you imagine rolling up on me 5 days later and saying, what did I order?
Yeah. Right.
There's 8 things on the menu.
Right.
I bet you ordered one of them.
Yeah.
There's only so many sins,
Yeah.
and nobody has ever been original, right? Did you ever read Either or by Kierkegaard, where he talks about let other people say
Yeah.
that this age is evil? I think it's weak,
Yeah.
right? The things we do are not as sins, don't even really measure up to sin. If we were worms, yeah, those are sins.
Yeah, right.
And I love what he says, I long for the days of the Old Testament and Shakespeare, where people killed their ancestors and cursed God.
Yeah,
they
right.
really knew how to sin.
Yeah.
Cursed their ancestors, killed their, it just,
Yeah.
I was like, that man, that's it. It's the banality of sin, at least in my life,
Sure.
where I'm like, I can't even be creative
Yeah.
here. Or really brave enough to really get it, to pull a King David.
Right.
Right? And it just cracks me up how I can get caught in my head. I ruined my relationship with the Lord. I don't know
Yeah.
if you know that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've got all kinds of power.
Yeah, right.
But, and it's like,
Well,
this
that's
ain't hard.
Herbert McCabe. Like this really changed my perspective on it. Herbert McCabe, this Dominican theologian in the UK. Shout out to UK. But he has this essay on the prodigal son. It's beautiful, and what he says in there is that confession doesn't change God's mind about you. It changes your mind about God.
Rough.
And
That's a spicy meatball.
yeah, God's just hopelessly in love with you.
Yeah.
And so, but instead, our image of God is a lot of times similar to Satan.
Yeah.
Like that's that's the image that we have when we think of God as Satan, this accuser who is making bets
Yeah.
in heaven
Yeah.
on how well we'll do with suffering or whatever. So
And finding our breaking point.
yes.
You know, I had a priest at a kind of a key moment of conversion in my life who I poured it out, and it was dark. And when I was done, he said, that's a lot. And he said, and so your penance is going to be a lot. And I said, okay, and I was ready for that. And he reached in his pocket, this is a true story, and just pulled out this wad of cash. He says, and then he says, I'm going to give you the only penance Jesus ever mentioned. And he pulled a wad of cash out, probably $60. This was the 80s. He's like, this is everything I have on me. And he put it in my hand. He said, I want you to go have a party. I want you to celebrate. I was a college student. I want you to have a steak dinner
Yeah.
and a beer because you were lost and you got found.
Oh yeah.
That was probably
He was being the father in the
Yes.
prodigal son.
And,
Yeah,
and he was like,
that's
the only
great.
penance I ever know. And he flat out told me, I save this for the ones where, all right,
Yeah.
way to go. That's a
Yeah.
repentance,
Right.
And I've done that a couple times.
That's why you don't keep much money on you.
Right, plus,
So I always keep $1 bill in my pocket in
and
case this
Carrie's
happens.
always taking my money for booze. Pray for me.
Yeah.
But I do have to tell you, I checked with a diocesan can. This guy knows way too much. And I was like, can I tell this story? And he guided me on what I can and can't say, because this is wild, right? There was an assignment I was at years ago where this dude would come in and make a very specific kind of confession. And back then it was face-to-face. The pastor wouldn't allow, the anonymous, because Vatican II. And then he would leave and come in and give the exact same confession again. We would have the exact same.
Okay.
And you know how, well, no, strange things happen in there because there's a lot of crazy people.
Sure,
Jesus
yeah.
love them. And you just roll.
Yeah.
Roll. And there's people who aren't even Catholic who would come in off the street and go
Yeah.
to confession and, confess to building rockets to go to Mars. And you're like, all right, God love you, So this went on for a while. And it was a little unnerving because it was clear he didn't remember. That he just went. And one day, I'm in the box, and there's a pause. Now, it was a 4-hour confession set we did every Thursday, and we never had a break. So I'm like, it's been an hour. There's no way the line's done. And I stick my head out the box, and there's a blind woman trying to make a way in. And all these people aren't helping her, right?
Yeah.
There's hundreds of people lined up. I'm like, come on,
Yeah.
So I go out there and I'm Joe and I can walk you. Oh, thank you. And she puts her hand on me. And then as I'm getting there, I look and there's a set of twins waiting to come into confession.
Okay.
That guy, it was 2 guys.
Oh, jeez.
And I cannot tell you,
That is funny.
it's one of the greatest things that's ever happened. Like one of those that lasted me 2 months. Of
That's really
laughing
funny.
at myself.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean twins.
Yeah.
Right? Like my mom's a twin. She doesn't look anything like her sister.
That's so funny.
These were twins.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there was one crazy
It'd
person.
be funny. I mean, like, I know you can't, like, tell exactly what they've said in confession, but, like, it's funny to think that, like,
Dudes are dudes.
one person confesses and then the other person confesses, and you're like, did you could just have time to do that?
Yeah.
Yeah, you
Well-
did that in the 30 seconds?
Well, and my
amazing.
assumption was he's crazy.
Yeah,
Jesus
right.
love him. Right?
Yeah.
He didn't remember coming in.
Yeah.
He would get in the box, leave, and
Yeah.
go, oh, I'm at the box.
Yeah,
And go in.
yeah.
And I was, it never occurred to me, well, he only does it twice.
That is amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. And no other possibility. The crazy content was so high in that region. It
Right,
was a
that
city
is really
parish,
funny.
that I just assumed crazy
Yeah.
instead of twins.
Yeah.
Which, yeah, true story. What? Oh, really? What? I mean, pardon, sorry.
Speed round.
Speed round.
Already?
Okay.
We didn't even
Yeah,
get
time
to.
flies, yeah.
Oh, shoot. Okay.
You can do what you would like. You're
How much time you got, bro?
fine. I got all
Can we
time.
do 2 shows out of this? I don't know. Are
Yeah,
you
we can- yeah,
interested
yeah,
in
we-
talking more?
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
Because I would love to
Not work.
talk about your comedy tours
Tours, yeah.
overseas.
Yeah,
Yeah. The Middle East.
sure.
You've been to Pakistan and Jordan. You've been to Abu Dhabi.
Uh,
I always say that.
Dubai,
That's the prison,
Dubai.
isn't it? Is Abu Dhabi the prison?
No,
where
Abu
they,
Ghraib
like-
is the prison. Abu
Yeah,
Dhabi's
please
another
don't
place.
do that.
Yeah,
Yeah. Did you ever torture?
I have not. No,
Okay.
No.
Are you willing to go before Congress?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And lie? Sure.
I was just gonna say I don't.
Yeah,
believe
no one's ever gotten in trouble for lying in front
Yeah,
of Congress.
no.
Yeah.
Actually, I think it's a requirement. Now.
Yeah.
I actually thought of
You
that.
get
the
hired
other
at
day.
CNN, right?
Yeah, I
James
just thought
Clapper
of
did
this
that,
the
yeah.
other day. How, like, if I got on the stand
Yeah.
and I have a couple times, right? Some of Carrie's criminal proceedings.
Yeah.
That means something to me.
Yeah.
Like, there was one where I had to get a lawyer. The diocese gave me one. Praise God. Somebody wanted me to reveal what I heard in confession.
Okay.
And I'm like, no.
Right.
Well, what they were saying wouldn't have been a sin. It would have been and I'm like, I
No, yeah.
don't want to dance that line, right? I want to be bulletproof.
Yeah.
In protecting the sacrament, like that thing you told me last night in confession.
And it's
My
like an
God.
errand. And, yeah.
I'll never tell
Well,
anybody.
yeah, right.
In
And,
fact-
and it's like an errand for you, because if you divulge it, then you're automatically excommunicated, right?
Right.
And so then you have to run an errand.
right.
You have to go to the whatever. But I don't know how you undo that or something.
Oh no, you're
You go to
done.
the bishop or something.
Yeah, they basically they I remember in seminary. I'll probably get in trouble for saying this. We had a bishop talking to us, and he said, "Gentlemen, here's how it goes." He says, if you have a problem drinking, they're going to send you away 3-4 times before they give up on you, right? They're going to send you to guest house, try to get you sober, try to get you back in the fight. You get about 3-4 strikes. He says, if it's a lady, 1 strike.
Mm-hmm.
He said, if it's money, they hunt you down and kill your family.
Yeah.
And then that's
Sure.
how they do it.
Yeah.
And then he talked about, he used it as a good segue into a priest can do a lot of horrible things, and the church might say you can't act like a priest anymore, but they'll say you're still a priest.
Sure.
But he said the one
Yeah.
is if you act on or talk about what you heard in confession, you're done.
Yeah.
There's no coming back. And I don't know if we still get our pension. I think I'll try and find out, like the year before I retire.
Yeah.
I think that's a good time to find out. I'll reveal what I heard.
Yeah.
And see
Right.
if I still get my
Go out like a tell-all book.
Right.
Or something.
Yes.
There was a case in Seattle where
I know.
where FBI bugged the confessional or whatever, and then everybody protested. They had to like destroy the tapes.
And
Which
then
is
there was
great.
a priest who sat in contempt of court for quite some
Nice.
time because he wouldn't say. But I had to get a lawyer. And in the end, I did have to go in, put my hand on the Bible. And my whole thing was, I believed what we were doing was the sacrament of reconciliation. I was wearing my little purple stole. I carry it everywhere just in case. Right? That bag I carry everywhere, I got a purple stole in there just in case someone, can I hear, will you hear my confession? No! Just like Jesus. And but even that, I was terrified.
Are you a Gentile woman? Yeah. Then,
Oh, your best.
Yeah.
Okay, you had a billion lines that I loved. I don't know why this was my favorite.
Okay,
Ready?
let's hear it.
I just told some boomer all my sins.
Oh yeah, because I went to confession in the UK, and I had not.
Greatest line I've ever heard.
Yeah, and so I just told, because I went to confession, or what I thought was confession, and it ended up me just confessing my sins to an Anglican priest.
Yeah.
Because I was new, I didn't know how to spot the difference,
Right.
and or feel it out. And
Be the flowery.
the best part is that when I was done telling my secrets to this boomer, he was like, I was like, well, can you absolve me? And he was like, oh no, sorry, I can't. Right? It's like,
I'm going to
what?
tell everybody what you just said.
Yeah, right. But it's like he knew that he could. He knew that he was like a nurse practitioner who didn't have the real medicine. He's like, I can give you a placebo sacrament.
Right.
We'll see if it works.
But then you said you went to the Catholic
Yeah,
Church.
he gave me directions to this Catholic.
I just told some boomer all
Yeah.
my sins. I don't know why, but of all the things you said,
great.
I told Carrie afterward, I said, I'm used to my face hurting other
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
My face hurt me.
Yeah.
Right here, I was laughing so hard.
That's great, because that wasn't a planned line. The telling a boomer all my
Bro,
sins is not a
hold
planned
on to
line.
it.
I just said
Grab
it. Yeah.
that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lock that in. So anyway, what took you over to like the Middle East to
So
I almost said Yugoslavia. I swear to God.
when I worked with people with disabilities, all kinds of people, right? All kinds
Yeah.
of people, all kinds of religions and stuff. I did have Muslim clients.
Yeah.
And it was my job as their Christian caregiver to help them be good Muslims,
Yeah.
which is a weird relationship to have with someone,
My mom did it.
And
Yeah.
so my phone would go off 5 times and I'd be like, it's time to pray,
Yeah.
And I'm not going to pray, but you got to pray, And so then when I became a stand-up comedian, I was talking about that.
Okay.
Right. I was talking about my experiences, and I was talking about everything that I had learned, and also I love learning about different cultures and different religions and stuff like that. And there is a part of me, I think it's because I worked with people with disabilities, I'm very docile to that. Like in terms of the virtue of docility, where you are just receptive to information without trying to cram it into what you already think. And so I'm a very quick study when it comes to other cultures and other religions and stuff. I just want to know from their perspective, from how they see it, right? And not just using it as a preamble to some apologetics in my brain,
Sure.
And so, so then, when I became a comedian, I was talking about that, and that was when Trump first ran for office.
Yeah.
And so I was, and the first time he ran, he was pretty rough on the Muslim people,
Muslims, oh,
right?
yeah.
Pretty tough on the Muslims. And so, the material that I was doing went very viral in the U.S. and in Pakistan, and that was also Barack Obama was still president, and Barack Obama was hated in Pakistan because of the drone strikes.
Oh, right.
And
I didn't even think of that.
Yeah, and hated him.
Yeah.
And so because he really ramped that up, and so went viral in the Muslim community. got booked at all these Muslim conferences and Muslim events in the U.S.
that's so
And by the way, like Muslims are a fraction, tiny fraction of the number of Catholics in the U.S.
Yeah.
But their ground game in terms of organization
Oh, yeah.
and like booking comedians for events to draw people in, and there's a scholar there talking about stuff. Like the way they've done it is so much. I mean, I hate to say it, but so much more coherent and organized than Catholics.
Yeah.
Which is ironic because like Islam is a decentralized religion.
Totally decentralized.
And we're not.
No.
But their ground game is super well organized. Anyway, so I like my friend Sultan Chaudhry is Pakistani American. He's got like lots of family in Lahore, and so he took me over there to Pakistan and like to do like a sort of. He was doing like dental missions because he's a dentist, and so but he also brought me and like. I did like a comedy tour. I set up a whole comedy tour of Pakistan and went viral and everything.
Nice.
And so that's what brought me there. And then I also went with an organization called Helping Hand to Jordan and did some stuff in the refugee camps there and everything. And I went to I remember I went to mass in Jordan and in Amman, and it was all Filipino. It was all
the labor.
Tagalog, yeah.
Yeah.
There was the labor in there, and so I
sure.
walk in and they're all Filipino. I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
all right. And so, but yeah, so that's like the quick thing. And so, like, I've done hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of events for in front of Muslims. And as far as I know, I am the only like Christian who does this.
Yeah. Oh, I
Like,
believe it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like, like there's like people who perform. There's Muslims in the audience, but there's no like Christian comedian like performing in mosques.
Right.
Like other than me, I think.
Right.
I think, right? And so it's been great. Like I really love it.
And one of the things you were teaching me, Pakistan is not a part of the Middle East.
Well, so yeah, Bush did that. So George W. Bush started this. He introduced this concept where he was like the Greater Middle East,
Yeah.
which is
Oh.
the Middle East plus Pakistan,
Okay.
and it's just so that he could.
Squeeze.
It's just so that the United States people, the American people, would be okay with like drone strikes and stuff
Sure.
in Pakistan because it's part of the Middle East now.
Oh yeah, not India, nowhere near India.
Because finding out that we were bombing East Asia or South Asia,
Right.
not East Asia, like Bush is bombing, Obama is droning South
Yeah.
Asia, we'd be like, what?
We're back in Vietnam.
And so like in the American imagination, like Pakistan is Afghanistan, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, and they are right next to each other. And so, but in the American imagination, if you watch Homeland and stuff,
Yeah, yeah.
like, and like everyone's in burqas.
Yeah.
And like I've been to Pakistan like 5 times. I've never seen a woman in a burqa. I'm sure they're like in the tribal areas there. I've never seen one. So, but like all this stuff, but it's because in the imagination it's like Afghanistan, when in the imagination it should be India.
Yeah.
Right? It's a lot like India.
Yeah.
And so,
Well, it was India.
right.
Yeah, right?
yeah.
I mean, am I thinking that
No,
right?
70 years
Yeah,
ago.
when they booted
Yep.
the British out.
Yep.
Yeah, they segregated between the Muslims and the non-Muslims for the most part.
Yeah, the
and-
partition.
Yeah.
And then it was the largest migration of people in history in such a short amount of time. And like millions died. It was awful. Like
I didn't know.
Yeah, it was bad.
Well, they finally got rid of the British.
yeah, right. Well, Hitler did. Hitler.
Oh, that's a good point. I
yeah,
didn't even think of
there's
that.
this
I thought, wow.
That's my explanation for it. There is a clothing store in Lahore called Hitler. And there's a picture of me, and I got a picture of me going like, what? And it's just Hitler. I have no idea why it's called that.
Yeah.
My only guess is that like in their imagination, like Hitler destroyed the British,
Right.
and like then they had to give up their empire, and that's how they got independence. That's my thing.
So fun.
He did other stuff too,
Yeah.
but
But hey,
the main thing was
the India thing. I had a guy move into my rectory from India. Great, beautiful, beautiful holy priest. And like the first week, he was just like, "What the heck?"
Yeah.
Right? Like we went to Meyer, and he was like, he literally said this: "This is all the food in the world."
yeah,
And I says, "Bro,
That's
this
funny.
is the poorest county in Michigan."
Sure.
Right? You're in the poorest area of Michigan, and this is our Meyer. You know. So I'm trying to explain it to him, and I could see he was getting a little overwhelmed.
Yeah.
Right? Like for him, part of it was everybody's friendly, not friendly. That's what he kept saying, right? Like, yeah. But anyway, I finally said to him, "Well, we have something in common. We booted the British out,
yeah.
and that made him happy."
Yeah. Yeah, we
Yeah.
should start being like, no, as a post-colonial people.
Right.
We should start saying that.
Yeah,
Like,
it's a
yeah,
post-colonial.
yeah. So,
Well, what I
former
got
colonized. Yeah.
now, if you don't mind, brother,
Oh, sure.
we have a very brutal, like Hunger Games type thing
Okay.
called the speed round.
Yes.
It's killed people, and I
Okay.
don't want you to worry.
Sure.
But I first have to. Oh, look, Jeremy texted me. We're gonna meet here for the podcast.
Okay, cool, yeah.
Okay.
What if you got a call from me right now? That would be weird.
That would be. I just,
Hey, I'm on my way up.
Oh no.
There's a guy. It's an
We had
imposter.
a demon
Yeah.
in here. So I got to find this. Here we are. Okay. So these are a series of, A or B, B or C,
Sure,
and there
yeah.
are no wrong answers.
Go for it.
But if you get one wrong, I will let you know. Okay.
There's a
Yeah.
toss me overboard.
Okay. Chevy or Ford?
Oh, Ford. I've never owned a Chevy, but I've owned a Ford.
Okay. Thanks for joining us today.
Yeah.
We have to go now.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't have like an
Yeah.
opinion about the.
I got you,
know.
bro. Text or phone call?
Text, absolutely, 100%.
Movie or book?
Movie.
Nice.
Yeah.
iPhone or Android?
iPhone.
Alaska or Florida?
Never been to Alaska,
Okay.
so Alaska.
Alaska or Texas?
So I have no idea what Alaska's like, so I prefer that to Florida.
Me too. Me too. I want to go to Alaska
Yeah.
so bad. And I got a cousin there who's a doctor, and he moved there, I think theoretically for a short stay, and will never ever come back.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Alaska or Texas?
I like Texas. I've done like probably like 200 events in Texas.
Get out.
Like there's so many like shows that I get booked at in Dallas. I should just move there. But like,
Yeah.
but like, I don't really care for it. There's no like, there's like for me, I grew up in Charleston. The natural beauty is very important to me. I like going to parks and like
Yeah.
like Yosemite and things like that whenever
Oh,
I
yeah.
travel. And Texas is just like nothing.
No. City? Nothing.
Yeah, city, not
Nothing.
sprawl.
Coke or Pepsi? Ow.
Coke.
Okay.
Yeah.
Facebook or Twitter?
Like I think Twitter, Facebook, whatever they've done with the app for Facebook has just made it for me like unusable.
Same.
Yeah.
Same.
Twitter's simple.
I'm getting 850 notifications about nothing. Your audience is growing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah. Cat or dog?
So I'm a cat person,
I figured.
but I don't have cats. We have a dog 'cause my wife's crazy about dogs, but I have this whole theory about like cat people and dog. I use the term dog person because I used to train caregivers
Okay.
and like for people with disabilities.
Yeah.
And I would like refer to other people as like certain people are, well, they're a dog person, meaning that they like things to be obedient to them. And so like, people who are anxious
Yeah.
around something that like, whereas a cat person
Yeah, they don't.
they're fine with like something just being in the room.
Yes.
They're not trying to train it to like obey and like submit to their will
You
and
could try
stuff.
to train it,
Yeah.
but he's just going to light up another cigarette.
So
and
when I
ignore
say
you.
dog person, I mean like a moral failing, like where that's how they treat people, because most people, and maybe it's just me, but I'm very much a cat.
Yeah.
I like just being around,
Yep.
and I'm not like,
You don't want to be petted.
yeah, I'm not like in your face, like
Right.
friendly. Like
Yep.
I'm just like, I like people, but
Yeah.
like I'm not, yeah.
I don't need to be on top of them.
Yeah, right.
I have a dog that I have never disciplined his entire life. He is not obedient in the slightest. Like sometimes just for my sake, he might pretend, yeah, I heard you,
Yeah,
but that's about as far as it goes.
Yeah.
He's pure evil.
yeah.
Yeah. Michigan State University
Okay.
or some lesser school.
Yeah, Michigan State University.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Wow. That's right. Okay. Cake or pie?
Oh, cake.
Do you consider cheesecake pie?
So I consider it cake just because it's got the word cake in it. But like,
See?
but I don't.
wisdom.
Cheesecake is so rarely good for me. Like good to me.
It's a dry brick.
Yeah, it's so if it's moist, then great.
Yeah.
But that's so rarely the case that I just don't eat it. Yeah.
I feel you. Do you call it a lollipop or a sucker?
A sucker. Yeah.
Euchre or pinochle?
I don't know what either of those words are.
That's probably.
What is that?
Oh, they're 2 card games.
Oh no.
Hot dog or hamburger?
Hamburger.
Highways or back roads?
Back roads. Just because the warrants.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I have a. Okay.
Yeah.
I was gonna do a Thelma and Louise thing just now, but I realized we could actually do it.
Yeah.
And I'd rather not.
Okay. Yeah.
That's a long way down.
Yeah.
I think. Anyway, did I tell you about the tiny dolphins?
Yeah.
Oh, that was a redneck moment.
Yeah,
Look
yeah.
at those tiny dolphins. Okay. Okay. Bacon or brisket?
Bacon.
Oh, look at. So you're 2 in a row where it
Yeah.
was just like bacon.
Yeah.
I have to admit, it was tougher than I thought.
Yeah.
Because I could eat bacon all day. I eat bacon. Yeah. Except when the Muslim brothers.
Yeah.
But brisket, man, brisket.
Yeah. It's funny that you said about the. I had this guy on my Facebook page. So and he was obviously a Muslim guy, but he was saying some extremist stuff, and I was like, I gotta check out this guy's page, and I clicked on it, and his whole page was his whole Facebook page was I hate Shia. It was how Shia should be killed in Pakistan, straight up advocating violence and stuff. But intermixed within that was these weird boomer memes against pineapple on pizza. How pineapple doesn't believe in pizza. Yeah,
that's really crazy.
He's really strong. He's an extremist Muslim, and he really hates pineapple on pizza. But my favorite thing is that despite being an extremist Muslim, his problem with Hawaiian pizza is not the ham.
That's a great point.
It's the pineapple. That's how much he hates pineapple.
That is fantastic.
More than what his religion.
And what would happen if he met a Hawaiian Muslim who was Sunni?
Or Shia.
Wait,
or he's Sunni.
He's he wants to kill
Sunni.
Shia.
He was kill all the Shia or whatever.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, you got to have hobbies.
Right.
And I do think
you shouldn't judge other people's hobbies.
But you can on the pineapple
even if it's
thing.
murder, right? Yeah, but the pineapple thing.
I think I'm with him on that.
I'm not. I'm a big fan of pineapple on pizza.
Okay, we're not friends.
I know.
No offense.
It's fine.
Augustine or Aquinas?
Aquinas. Even though Augustine, growing up Protestant, Augustine has a special place because he was the only Christian between Paul and Luther.
Yeah,
between
it's
Paul
neat
and
how
Luther.
he pulled that off.
Yeah,
it really is. I don't know how he did it,
right.
But he should get a
only
medal.
parts of it though.
Yeah.
Only parts of Augustine.
Oh yeah.
But
need a big red marker.
Yeah.
Wine or cocktail?
I don't drink now.
Okay.
But when I did, it was cocktails. Yeah,
okay.
for sure.
How about cocktail or beer?
Cocktail.
Hiking or biking?
Hiking. So part of the work that I did with people with disabilities, I have a destroyed back.
Nice.
So I can't lift anything, and I can't and being hunched over a bike just ruins it.
Yeah.
So I just take very, very long walks. That's the exercise I do.
Did you do the thing on the 5th floor here? Isn't that cool?
It's great. Yeah.
There was one year, one of the boats, where it was open.
Yeah.
Like the safety boats or whatever they're called aren't there, and so while you were walking,
a lot of the loop is open.
Okay.
You can just see the
Yeah, I was just surprised this boat how much of it was closed off. Like when we would go out every morning.
Are you sure you weren't doing that while it was sinking? And you're like,
could
man,
be.
these where are all the safety boats?
And the crazy part is there was nobody else on the boat.
Yeah.
And it did go underwater.
Yeah.
Okay. I
of-
think we sunk.
Yeah.
Dang it.
Yeah.
But the good news is those little boats, they have buffets.
Okay.
Yeah. Pool or beach?
Pool or beach? Pool. It's the sand. Even though I'm from Charleston.
Yeah.
The sand of the beach is, but I think you should ask beach or marsh, or other
Beach or marsh, Gary?
on the south. In the south,
Okay.
if there's marsh people and beach people.
So there are
and I'm
people
and I'm
who choose
100% a marsh people, marsh person where you go swimming in the river or but you're not going out. There's not sand beach.
When you
thing.
say marsh,
Or
I'm
you-
thinking swamp.
I mean, it is swamp, but there's ways you can kayak in there and stuff. It's cool.
Okay.
Yeah. Or swamp. There's lots of different balls. You could blank person, swamp person, mountain person, whatever. And I'm mountain and marsh is my big
That's
thing.
crazy.
I've
Yeah,
never
the beach,
seen
nah.
somebody get off in the savannah. You
Yeah.
swim in there?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Are
Oh.
there other things swimming in there
Sure.
at the same time?
Yeah.
I actually kayaked down in Florida for this bird watching thing.
Okay.
Right? So we're kayaking through, and there's like 50 of us little kayaks behind a dude with a bullhorn and how you doing? And he's like, look over here, there's this bird, and I'm in heaven.
Yeah.
Right? And then we get to the end, and it's like a little maze through the swamp. Right? And we get in this big open spot, all our little kayaks together, and he's like, okay, we're going to go home. If you want to go home now, follow me. If not, just follow the route back. And it was easy peasy. And I thought, I'm going to hang around. No one's here. It's so peaceful. No phone, no nothing. And so I'm chilling, and then it was time to go. And I was going, and there was a kayak in front of me, maybe 100 feet. I don't know. I suck at that. Could have been a mile. And I hear him, roar. I can't hear anything. My hearing aids are out. But I just hear, roar. And he's, whatever it is, he's intense. So I figure, control freak.
Yeah.
I don't know. So I'm pedaling along, and I believe 9 million foot long gator
Sure.
approached my kayak, and it was weird. Like, I wasn't terrified like I thought I'd be.
Yeah.
Because I was like, there's nothing I can do.
Yeah.
If he decides we have an issue.
I don't like it when they're like, well, he's a lot more scared of you than you are of him. I'm like, yeah, but when I get scared of things, I kill them.
Right.
So, like, he's going to kill me.
Right.
Yeah.
And,
being scared doesn't make him safer.
and him weaponless and me weaponless,
Yeah.
I lose.
Yeah.
And I was weaponless. I mean, I could take my little plastic, paddle, naughty.
Yeah.
But no, he didn't care. He got alongside me, then he turned around and swam beside me for a bit, but he didn't seem interested like I'm looking at him. I don't know.
Sometimes you go to a buffet and you're like, nah.
Yeah, exactly. You know what? I've had enough fat white guys.
Yeah, I've had this before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a fine point.
Yeah.
New car or classic car?
Well, I don't drive new cars.
Okay.
So like my dad growing up, it was always just like you should pay cash for an old car,
Yeah.
and then 10 years later pay cash for another old car.
Yeah.
That's 10 years older, so you feel like you got a new car.
Sure.
Just stay behind the times.
Yep.
When it comes to cars, but it does ruin me when I travel and I have to get a rental car,
Yeah.
and then I'm like, it's a brand, they're brand new,
Yeah.
and they have like the Apple CarPlay and stuff, and I'm like, this is for billionaires.
Yeah.
And it's
Oh,
not. It's just like
Yeah.
the basic car that you get now.
And my pa finally said, okay, I'm going to buy myself something.
Yeah.
And he did it. And his big thing was seeing my Apple Play in my truck, and he was smitten. And because he doesn't have to do anything, right? 'Cause he's always like, I don't know what things to push. On the screen, it's like map,
Yeah.
right? So we look it up. The first time Chevy offered the Apple Play in a truck was 2015. Great. So we went and bought a 2015 truck, and it had a little screen. And that's when we find out Chevy work trucks, what he bought.
Okay.
No, that was 2016.
Uh,
But he's reluctant to change his mind.
Yeah,
So he's
sure.
driven this car for 2 years.
Man.
Longing for Apple CarPlay.
Sure. Yeah.
Longing.
So my first car was a 1976 Mercedes,
Shut
and it
up.
was red. It was the one my dad got married in,
That is fantastic.
and so it was like 300,000 miles when I got it. Like 350,000 miles when my brother wrecked it, and
it
but,
didn't care,
But
did
it was
it?
diesel, and it was great. And it's
Yeah.
the one that like whenever I was like crying as a baby, my dad would take me out in, and it was the rumble of it, and so. So yeah, I love old. And my dad always said, if you have an old car, not like a nice classic old car, but like just an old car, then you don't have to worry about locking it and stuff.
That's true.
People aren't going to steal it. So I've never been like, I've never had like I do care about status and like nice things and stuff, but having a nice car has never been important to me.
I
some
just got to
reason.
have a truck.
Yeah.
Although I'm buying my first non-truck, I bought an electric. I'm sorry, this thing is killing my back. An electric car, and it's coming in like a month or two.
Okay.
Chevy Bolt EUV.
Nice.
My brother was on the design team for that. From
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so and it's built in Michigan.
Okay.
So I'm gonna see, but this is my first non-truck.
Nice. Best of luck for that.
Well, brother,
Yeah, man.
if people want to see you,
Yeah.
if people
Or book
wanna-
me.
or book you, yes. How does this happen?
Yeah, just
Please.
contact me on social media. It's just my name, Jeremy McLellan. You can do jeremy.mcclellan@gmail.com. You can
Okay.
email me if you want me to come to your parish or Catholic event or whatever. I'd love to.
And can we put that out there for
Yeah.
God's people? Okay, so
Great.
the link will be on their thinger, and they can catch you on Twitter. That's where
Sure.
I always enjoyed you. Are you on Facebook?
I am, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I have like a page. It's just Jeremy McLellan Comedy.
All right,
But
I'll
yeah.
find you.
Yeah.
Come Holy Spirit, and then email. Those are
Yeah.
the 3 ways to get after you.
Yep.
Okay. And I'm telling you, folks, and I'm serious. I never watch comedy anymore. It's just one of those where, like Bill Burr, I could watch all
Oh,
day.
I love Bill Burr, yeah.
I could watch Chappelle all day.
Yep.
But most of what I see, I'm like, same.
Yeah.
I'm not. I promise,
Thank
I'm
you.
telling the truth. You blew the roof off.
Thank you
like
so much.
you know crowds. You know that was going to be a tough
good.
crowd to break, and I think it took you less than 10 minutes.
Yeah, thank you.
And you are beautiful.
Thank you, man.
And I love your joy.
Oh.
I love how thoughtful you are. I just thank Jesus
Thank
for
you.
you, dude. And I encourage y'all, get after it.
Thank
He's
you.
a great man.
Means a lot. Thank you for having me.
Thanks, bro.
Yeah, of course.
Well, I pray Jesus
Yep.
bless your family. Oh, I got to do prayer. All right, you ready?
All right.
I'm a trained professional,
Okay.
so I don't know if you lay people,
Yeah.
Okay. Say I would pray. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Heavenly Father, this moment is yours, and every moment that brought us to it is yours. And we're so grateful. Thank you for this wonderful man who presents himself to you every day, presents his beloved and his squeakers and his gifts and talents in his heart and his mind. And I ask, Lord, that you bless him and keep him safe and protect his family, and every day draw them closer to your sacred heart. We ask for you to bless our Muslim brothers and sisters and bring them closer to you. And we ask for peace. And Heavenly Father, you know the people we love so much and we worry about. And you know all the circumstances in our lives that we fret about, and we give them all to you, Lord, because we love you and trust you. And may Almighty God bless you all, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Amen.
Amen.
And if, by the way, that you book Jeremy and use Father Joe Krupp as a code, you will be marked up 10%.
That's right.
Yeah, probably 20%
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
Inflation.
Yeah.
This is Biden's America.
Biden's America, man.
So thanks for tuning in, everybody. See you next time.
Yep.
Is it over?
Oh, it's never over.